Hello, friendos. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Frosty Talks. I got a lot to say today. Holy crap, did the fit hit the shan this time. Oh man, such a big week in not only just gaming, but I kind of had my mind blown about 10-20 minutes ago because I found out some new information that I'll get to later. But first, let's talk about Activision Blizzard, because that's not a dumpster fire. Oh, boy. So, Activision Blizzard, well, I guess they're two different entities that are part of the same company. But if you don't know, Activision is a company, a video game company, that's based out of Santa Monica, California, and Blizzard is another video game company that's based out of Irvine, California. Both U.S., based companies, and they had a merger, I think, last year? No, it's been a while. It's been quite some time. But anyway, so, for those of you who don't know, over in Hong Kong, there's a bunch of people protesting to try and, keep the freedoms that they've been afforded by the Chinese government because they want to be a separate entity. Hong Kong is not technically a part of China, but it is part of China. Like, it's in China, but it's not China. And the Chinese government is like, we can't have this happen anymore, right? We don't want to, we don't want to keep them sovereign anymore. We want to bring them under the blanket of the Chinese Communist Party. So some of you who are big gamers are wondering why I'm talking about this. Well, it turns out that Hearthstone is a very big game. A very big game. And it had a gentleman who won some prize money who wore I believe it was a gas mask. It's to kind of show solidarity with the Hong Kong protesters. Those people who are saying, we like our freedom, thank you. This gentleman was banned from Hearthstone, I believe, for 1 year, and had his prize money confiscated. That's $10,000. That's quite a big sum. So he had all that taken away from him. And not only that, but they released a statement. Or no, they did all that, and which is stupid for a U.S. company to do. I mean, it's pretty much on par with what the NBA did. Like, oh, we don't want to step on the Chinese government because we want that sweet, sweet Asian money. Or I should say Chinese money. My God, this story, it perplexes me. Because, yes, I get it. You want to break into that market. And one of the biggest ways to break into the market is to... How many minutes am I into this? Okay, I can say this. Suck the dick of the fucking Chinese government. Right? And it's not just Activision Blizzard or the NBA. It's Facebook. It's Twitter. It's big tech. It's gaming companies and big tech want to break into that market, so they have to essentially bend over backwards for the Chinese government and be like, yeah, we'll give you whatever you want. Whatever you say, we'll give it to you. You want us to stifle the speech over here? Fine. You want us to stifle the speech over here? We'll do that too. Like, this isn't going to just stop with people in China. It'll spill over. And don't think it won't, because it will. And that's one of the reasons why so many people are so mad. I don't buy Activision Blizzard games very often, if at all. But this is me saying, I'm probably not going to buy any more Activision Blizzard games. I mean, the last Activision Blizzard game I bought was Diablo 3. I don't think I played Overwatch a little bit. I wasn't impressed. And that was the free version, so there we go with that. But however, they released a statement that it wasn't the Chinese government, it was them. That makes it look even worse. Because you're an American company. You should be holding American values, and you shouldn't be bending over backwards to a foreign government who wishes not just harm on the U.S., but wishes to police the entire world and bring them under that blanket. And they do. They want to do that. They've been pushing and pushing and pushing to try and get the Communist Party of China to be this arbiter of truth. And they're not. They're not. They just aren't. And it's an authoritarian regime that wants to stifle any type of criticism towards it. And us in America, we deal with, having this freedom of speech where we are able to criticize governments because guess what? That is what is in our Constitution. The first ever right that we were afforded by the Constitution was the freedom of speech, religion, press, and assembly. Speech, religion, press, and assembly. Which means if we peacefully assemble, great. If the press wants to throw out a story, as long as it's truthful, sometimes, not really. If the press wants to throw out a story, they can do that. Doesn't always have to be true. Religion, which means if I want to pray to God, or if I want to pray to Allah or Satan or Gaia or this flying spaghetti monster, I can do that. And if I want to criticize the government, if I want to talk about guns, if I want to talk about Power Rangers, if I want to talk about, how stupid Teletubbies was, I can do that. And you shouldn't, and no entity can tell me I can't. They can tell me I can't do it at their place if it's a private company. But if it's publicly traded and it's a public platform, looking at you, YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, then you can't tell me no unless it's illegal. If I threaten somebody, yeah, go ahead. By all means, kick me off. Tell me I can't be there. If I'm aggressively targeting one person for harassment, yeah, that's technically illegal. You can't really do much. You can assign a restraining order, I believe. I don't know. I've never been in that much trouble with my speech because I tend not to speak very loudly and very aggressively, as you guys can tell. Hell, I'm pretty chill right now, and this infuriates me. But it is what it is. So that was the big one from the week. Now the mind blow for me is the ESRB and how they handle shit. Like, oh my God. I wish I didn't stumble upon that because it crushed me. Because I've worked at GameStop, and I refer to the ESRB for parents who want to do right for their kids, and I'm like, this is one of the better ways of figuring out what's in a video game, like, because you have E for everyone, or no, you have EC, which is early childhood. I think they've actually gotten rid of it. Let's check that out. I'll throw this up here, maybe in a corner. No, I'll have to do something extra for that. But we'll just check it, and I'll let you know what I see. I don't really go to this website very often. All right, so let's see ratings. Let's look at the ratings guide. Okay, so they have gotten rid of EC, which is early childhood. So they have E for everyone, E10 and up, T, yeah, there it is, mature, which is M, and AO, adults only, which, and then, of course, RP, which is rating pending. But here's what, oh man, this story, like, it's still fresh in my mind. I haven't had, like, a few days to simmer on it. So this is all my raw reactions right now. I'm just beside myself for this. So if you don't know, here recently, loot boxes have been becoming huge in the gaming industry. I can understand that for free-to-play games. Like, you put in a little bit of money, you get some stuff back, and then you play with that. Well, I don't... Loot boxes, no. In-game purchases, yes. I agree with that for free-to-play games. And the reason why I bring all of this up is because I've recently watched an Angry Joe video that said that the ESRB, the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, the end-all, be-all rating system for the U.S. Let me say that again for the people in the back. The end-all, be-all rating system for the U.S., the ESRB, the Electronic Software Entertainment, and the I fucked that up. The Entertainment Software Ratings Board is the end-all, be-all. The end-all, be-all. They have to go through this rating system in order to release their game in the U.S. Now, what's one thing that you think that they would do? Is it play the game? Yeah. That's what I thought. Or that's what I think. That's what I should be thinking. But no. Angry Joe kind of unleashed this monster on us. I think it was about a week ago that he posted this video. I don't really watch Angry Joe very often, but if something that he says catches my eye, I'll listen. Because I'm not a hypocrite. And I'll put the link to that video, to both of his videos down below, so you guys can get a comprehensive idea on what's going on and why I'm talking about this. But here's the long and short of it. They don't play the game. What? You mean to tell me that the way the games industry is, you have to go through this? It's like with the MPAA. They have to go through that. And they have to, say, hey, this is all in our game. They have to, right? Or so they say. But you would think that they would play the game and find out, what is this all about? So one of the things that they talk about is simulated gambling. And what that means, what I thought it meant was if you see a slot machine on the screen and you have to pull that lever, that to me is gambling. Like, that is a visual representation of gambling. Now, I didn't wager anything, but that still doesn't, refute my idea that that is gambling. Like, seeing a bar being pulled and, spinning, I guess, pictures? I don't know. And lining up 3 of them in order to get something, that to me is gambling. I mean, Super Mario Brothers 2. Let's look up their rating, because according to the ESRB, the rating for simulated gambling is T for team, right? And in order to get an extra life in this game, you have to... Or no. Is it an extra life? Yes, it's an extra life. You have to pay the coins that you find in that, like, alternate dimension in order to, in order to do it. Oh, look at that. It's E for everyone. So let's go to the ratings guide and see where simulated gambling is supposed to be. Let's see, it said E for everyone, right? Content is generally suitable for all ages, may contain minimal cartoon, fantasy, or mild violence, and or infrequent use of mild language. That's E. E10. Content is generally suitable for ages 10 and up. May contain more cartoon violence, fantasy or mild violence, blah, 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 mild language, or minimal suggestive themes. Still no gambling. T for teen. Content is generally suitable for ages 13 and up. May contain violence, suggestive themes, crude humor, minimal blood, simulated gambling. Now, hold on a second. What age do you have to be to gamble? Like, flat out. Isn't it 18? Is it 21? I'm pretty sure it's not 13. I'm almost 100% certain that it's not 13. So, why is simulated gambling in the T for teen market? Even better, why is Super Mario Brothers 2 rated E for everyone? Because in Angry Joe's video, you have to pay in-game currency or pay actual currency in order to basically gamble. You have to roll that dice or pull that lever. Make those things spin. I mean, is it really gambling? So here's my other question. Is it really gambling if you can stop it on your own? Because, I mean, I think that's how Super Mario Brothers 2 worked. I don't think it was actually random, where you just pull it and then a random number generator says, hey, you won, or hey, you didn't win. You could stop it with the, like, A button, I think. I don't remember. I haven't played Super Mario Brothers 2 in a while. But that simulated gambling, it's an interesting term, right? What constitutes simulating gambling? Well, according to the ESRB, you have to pay real-world currency in order to spin the wheel, roll the die, pull that lever, in-game or actual money. It's not visual representation. You have to bet on it. You have to gamble. Well, I mean, yes, that is the definition of gambling. You place something of value. Like, if I put this down for and a chance to win, say, this. Technically, that is simulated gambling. And technically, that is gambling. But what if we take this out for a chance to win, but we still have that chance to win? But I still have to go through the motion, go through the idea of pulling that lever or spinning that wheel or rolling the die. Why isn't that considered simulated gambling? Those are questions that I think deserve to be answered. Right? But I mean, let's go in a little bit and talk about let's see. Let's see if they've got it here. I'm looking for a specific one. In-game purchases. Where's in-game purchases? Oh, look at that. They don't have in-game purchases on here. Huh. Strange, isn't that? You would think that in-game purchases is something that they would want to put on there. They even have it on the sticker now. You know? No. Nothing. Maybe it's in interactive elements. In-game purchases. Here we go. Interactive elements. Contains in-game offers to purchase digital goods or premiums with real-world currency, including but not limited to bonus levels, skins, surprise items. Surprise items. Are you freaking serious? Such as item packs, loot boxes, mystery rewards, music, virtual coins, and other forms of in-game currency. Subscriptions, season passes, and upgrades. So, instead of separating loot boxes, which is also item packs, and mystery rewards, you know, these surprise items. I'm seeing right through your bullshit. Surprise items. Surprise, you got a laser pointer. After spending $60. This game. And for mature. Why? Alcohol reference, animated blood, language, partial nudity, sexual themes, violence. That's fair. That is fair. But if you're telling me that if I want to get this laser pointer that I paid dollars for that's already in this game, already on the disc, or already part of the game, I gotta pay more for this laser pointer. Because the in-game rewards are separate from this laser pointer. I paid $60 for a fucking game that has this locked behind a paywall. And I want this laser pointer because, oh, look at that. It actually works as a laser pointer. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, whatever happened to unlocking stuff? Super Smash Bros. Is doing it and having in-game purchases. But those in-game purchases are extra content that weren't initially in the game. They are extra content that they work on. This wasn't planned before. Hell, Joker wasn't even a de facto character until the beginning of this year. Banjo-Kazooie wasn't a de facto character until earlier this year. We didn't know who we were getting. I'm glad we got Banjo-Kazooie. I was fucking surprised as hell to see Joker come into it. That, to me, is surprise mechanics. Or surprise items. Not this whole idea of, hey, I'm going to play this basketball game that already has LeBron James in a team. I can't just recruit him for my own team. If I wanted to do that, I'd just go fucking do fantasy leagues. And just do it all stat-based and win real-world money. But no, I've got to pay $60 for this fucking game that already has this character in it, or this player, or this specific item. And then you're telling me, oh, I could pay $3 for a minimal chance to win this high-ranking person. And if I don't win this high-ranking person, or if I get multiples of what I've already fucking gotten, it goes into the in-game currency that I combined with other real-world money in order to send it out to try for it again. Whatever happened to actually buying what you wanted? Or getting what you purchased? Like, imagine, if you will, if I'm playing Persona 4, and if you don't know, you can get this guy up here, Kanji. He becomes part of the party after a certain event in the game. What if I was told I have to pay $3.99 for a chance to win Kanji? To put him in my party. How pissed do you think RPG players would be if that happened? How pissed? Tell me. And if it sounds like I'm pissed off, I am. Because that should not be happening. And think about it this way. You bought these player packs. You may have spent hundreds of dollars on these player packs to try and get a certain player that you wanted. And then the next game comes out, and you're like, oh, well, I'll just carry it over. No. That's not how any of that works. And why is that? Money. And the ESRB is not telling you that it's this way. The ESRB is just saying, oh, it's an in-game purchase. There's no loot boxes. There's no this, that, and the other. It's just all in-game purchases. No, they should separate loot boxes, item packs, mystery rewards into its own prize and make that a gambling mechanic, which is basically what's going on. You're just not pulling that lever. You're not spinning that wheel. If Pokemon Red and Blue, and you could look this up, it is said to have gambling in it. Simulated gambling. You pay a certain amount of I think, Pokédollars, and you pull that. You don't even see the lever pulled. He just pulls the lever and he wins coins. Whether or not, or no. I can't remember. It's been so long since I played Red and Blue. But they're supposed to have a T rating because of that? Funnily enough, they don't. It's an E for everyone game. Or I think it's actually E10 and up. So wait, you're telling me that Pokemon should have a T rating? I don't think that's right. I mean, it's good that they say that that's in there, and I agree with them making it a little bit higher on the ESRB rating. Like, if it's actual gambling. But if it's just... But why would you put that on there, why would you put simulated gambling in Pokemon? And then turn around and say, well, it's E for everyone. But then you go over here to NBA 2K, it's T for teen because there's certain language and in-game purchases. You're being disingenuous, and you're not informing the public, which is your job. As the ESRB, you are supposed to be informing the public of what is in video games. Parents don't know what loot boxes are. If I were to go up to my parents and tell them, hey, I just bought a loot box, they'd be like, what does that mean? Is that little box that you pay money for and it comes in the mail and you get some cool items? No. It's where I pay money to get a chance to win something awesome. Well, that sounds like gambling. Yeah. That's exactly what it freaking is. And the ESRB is being disingenuous about it. It is basically saying, hey, we're going to lick your boots, game developers, Activision Blizzard, Ubisoft, other game developers that I can't think of off the top of my head. But you know what we're going to do? Just stick it in the in-game purchases. We don't want them to know what loot boxes are. We want you to get more money. We want to get kickbacks from you. I'm pretty sure they're getting kickbacks. There's no way they're not. With this crap, there's no way they're not. And the ESRB is actually owned by the ESA, which is, I think, the... oh, God. I guess I'll have to Google it. Because I remember Joe mentioning this in his video. Entertainment and Software Association. Let's click on this and see what it says. We are the video game industry. Interesting. About ESA. Major players of the video game industry. Major players of the video game industry. Wonder what that means. Does that mean, oh, I don't know, that they might be the heads of certain video game industry, video game companies? If you don't think that the ESRB is getting kickbacks from video game companies, the ESA sounds like, you know, the owner of the ESRB sounds a lot like they might be getting kickbacks. Oh, I can join their team. Amazing. I'm not a head of the video game industry. It's really interesting when you actually dig into it, right? The ESA is the video game industry. The ESRB is a self-policing ratings board that doesn't really tell you much about what's in these video games. Yeah, maybe it does have good references like alcohol reference. And these are some of the... There's a list, a comprehensive list of what may be in video games, which would be like animated blood and gore. I agree with that. Like, I agree with letting people know what is in your games. Like, this right here is one of the best things that ever happened to the video gaming industry. Because it prevents my nephew, who's 3 years old, it prevents him from maybe getting his hands on this game, which I would not recommend. It would probably give him nightmares. Some of the things in there are fucking creepy. Not even gonna lie. So the ESRB has not done terrible things, but it's not doing enough. Like, yeah, sure, simulated gambling is in Pokemon, but it's not the main thing. So rating it E for everyone, yeah, I can see that. I'm not upset by that being E for everyone, because it's Pokemon. What I am upset by is that at these T for teen games are supposedly having simulated gambling. Do you think a 13-year-old should be gambling? Should be gambling at all? I don't. Do you think a 13-year-old should be thinking about, oh, how am I going to get LeBron James if I can't earn him through actually playing the game? If I have to roll my loot box, if I have to open a loot box and maybe get him on the 400th try, but I don't have enough in-game currency to try that many times, I'll just use mom and dad's credit card, or see if mom and dad will buy me a currency card for my choice of platform. That's using in-game currency. That's using real-world currency for an in-game item. That's not forever. It's up until the next game comes out next year. It's not a permanent item. So why do I have to pay real-world money for an item I'm not going to own all the time? They could shut the servers off at 9 o'clock tonight, and I would not have those players, because guess what? I think NBA also requires an internet connection. Now, I don't play these games, but it irritates me because they try these mechanics out in sports games before they start bleeding out into other games. I saw microtransactions in Assassin's Creed, Assassin's Creed Origins. I don't even play Assassin's Creed anymore. Kind of got boring. Really got boring. Why? Why am I paying $60 for a game, and then you're telling me, oh, you see this weapon that's in the game, on the disc, in your files? Yeah, you have to pay extra for that. Then why did I purchase this fucking game? If I've got to pay for shit in-game, I shouldn't have to pay $60 for it. There's no excuse for any of that. And yet, here we are with this bullshit of microtransactions that's hidden under the guise of in-game purchases. Now, what I just explained, that's not a loot box. That's perfectly acceptable. If I'm going to pay real world money, you better give me what I wanted. Because guess what? I already paid $60 for your game. If I'm paying for this thing, I want it. I don't want a chance to win it. I want it. That's not how this works. It's not how any of this works. I pay you the money, you give me the goods. That's how that should work. And it should be something that, and I don't even like in-game purchases, to be honest with you. Like season passes, Like if it's for the fighter pass, second fighter's pass, okay, that wasn't planned. Or I think it wasn't planned. They didn't announce it before Super Smash Brothers came out. No, when was it announced? 2 months ago? Or was it a month ago? Shit, I can't remember. But you're telling me that I can't pay $60 for a game and get the full game, get the full experience of the game. I've got to pay more money for a chance to win more of the game. A chance to win more of the game. That's what loot boxes are. And that is why they're getting such a pushback. And that's why I get upset when it's in-game purchases. I'm not actually purchasing that item. I'm purchasing a chance to win that item. Well, if it's a chance, isn't that gambling? Isn't that gambling? Let's look up the definition of gambling before we go. Back to Google. Gambling. Gambling. Take risky action in the hope of desired result. Take risky action in the hope of a desired result. You know what I say gambling is? Going into a fight in Persona 4 without a healing item. That's a gamble. I'm going in knowing that it's a high likelihood that I'm going to lose. But I'm going in there anyway. I may win. I may win with only the main character alive. Now, you know what's not a gamble? Going into a fight with healing items. You know what else is a gamble? Paying for a chance to win what I want. Because that is the definition of gambling. Take risky action in the hopes of a desired result. Or if you want to go by the definition of gambling, the wagering of money or something of value on an event with uncertain outcome with the primary intent of winning money or material goods. Gambling thus requires 3 elements to be present: consideration, risk, and a prize. The consideration is the idea that I can get these items. The risk is me paying money, in-game currency, or real-world money, and a prize. That is the definition of gambling. That's what a loot box is. I'm sorry for going off on like a almost 30-minute rant. I think it's more along the lines of a 40-minute rant of loot boxes and gambling and all this other stuff. But it really irritated me when I heard that the ESRB does not play their games. Does not play games. They watch a video that is compiled by game developers that's supposed to have the worst in them. And they say there's a penalty for not being truthful. $1 million is the penalty. $1 million is a drop in the hat to Activision Blizzard, to Ubisoft, to Microsoft Game Studios, or whoever they are. That's a drop in the hat. They make billions. So $1 million is not going to be enough to entice these companies to clean up their act. And that's what Angry Joe has basically highlighted for everyone. And again, I'm going to put the link in the link to both of his videos down in the description, so that way Joe gets the more in-depth look into it. I just bitched for about 40 minutes, which, thank you if you're still watching. I appreciate you just listening to me go on and on and on and on and on about gambling. I didn't even realize I could talk for almost 40 minutes about this bullshit, but I feel passionate about it, and I hope that maybe it gives you a little bit of an insight to how the ESRB is working and how they see things, because they don't see loot boxes as simulated gambling. They don't see the NBA 2K slot machine as gambling. They don't see the NBA 2K spinning the wheel as gambling. They don't see the visual representation of gambling when they should. What they're saying is, hey, I'm not spending money on it because I got a free spin, or I got a free, pull of the lever. That's how they entice you. That's how they start. That's how it gets you thinking, hey, I could actually win something worthwhile if I put more money into it. And the fact that the ESRB let that slide and didn't put, a higher rating. And I think that simulated gambling should be in the M-rated portion of it, because 13-year-olds can't go to a casino. 13-year-olds can't go on a gambling boat. 13-year-olds cannot go into these places at all. Right? So why is it T for teen? And Activision Blizzard, going back to my first point with them, you're an American company. Act like Americans, man. Your employees walked out on you on purpose. They covered up that sign on purpose. Listen to them. I already saw a story where you're basically saying, hey, I'm going to give back the money and shorten suspension. You shouldn't even be suspending that guy. You should be giving that guy a pat on the back. But it is what it is. We're living in a crazy world where 13-year-olds can play simulated gambling. But anyway, guys, that's all the time I'm going to take up for today. I know this kind of just evolved into me being angry, and for good reason, because these big tech companies and these video game companies don't deserve to have any flack. They don't deserve to be cut any slack, because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that is taking advantage of its customers, and we need to start looking at this and saying, enough is enough. We're not going to take this sitting down anymore. Because at the end of the day, Activision's going to do what Activision's going to do. Blizzard's going to do what Blizzard's going to do. But they're going to do it in the idea that it's going to make money. So if we show them that you're not going to have our dollars if you act this way, then they're going to start listening. Don't buy microtransactions. Don't buy loot boxes. Send these companies a message saying, we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore. Anyway, guys, until next time, you stay frosty.